What's up, y'all? Welcome into another episode of the Titans by Two podcast. A huge time for us today because unfortunately Austin was not able to be here, but we have since expanded our staff and we got two of our new guys on here, Trey and Noah. What's up, guys? Welcome in.
What's up, man?
What's up? Glad to be here, man.
Yeah, glad to have y'all here. So we'll start a little bit with just Austin and I. When we first started this thing, we told everybody kind of who we were and what our background was and what it really means for us to write and talk and report about the Titans, because that's what we love and that's what we really enjoy, as we're all Titans fans, of course. So Trey, we'll start with you. Kind of tell us like your background for the Titans and who you are.
Well, I became a Titans fan when I was around, let's say, 7 years old. And so I wasn't really, into them, but then I had to, move up to Kentucky. And so I was used to, being able to watch the games coming home from church. And I would miss maybe the first quarter, whatever. Come home, my brother sit in whatever it was, like a second living room or whatever. And we just sat down and watched the game. And that was during that 13-3 season. So it was like a lot of excitement right there. And so ever since then, we sort of like, built up, on that fandom. And I mean, it's sort of been crazy because back when I was younger, my favorite sport, was the NBA, whatever. Loved watching LeBron James, Kobe, whatever, stuff like that. So as soon as I went to the Titans, fell in love, and here we are.
Here we are. That's good. I think that's kind of how we all are, because from where I'm from in North Alabama, and then Austin is from Murfreesboro, we've all kind of been at least around Nashville growing up being Titans fans. And Noah, I would assume that's probably the same thing with you. Let us know about yourself.
Yeah. I was grew up in Murfreesboro, and growing up in my house, football is on Sundays. We're watching Titans football. Then they came in. I mean, my dad loved watching football. He never really had a team till the Titans got here. So I was born and raised to be a Titans fan. And then when I was in fifth grade, we moved to El Paso, Texas, which was a nightmare for me. I didn't enjoy it there, but we got the Sunday ticket from DirecTV, and so every Sunday or Thursday or Monday night we're watching the Titans, and I just latched on and became a diehard fan. I'm always looking up the videos throughout the week, just waiting for game day to get here. And then when we moved back, I bought season tickets for myself, and so season ticket holder now. Go to every game, watch every game. Man, when football season comes around, I'm obsessed with it. I got a different jersey for every day of the week, and so man, it's all Titans all the time. And writing sports, I mean, it fit perfectly with who I am and what I was born to do. So I mean, it's all Titans all the time for me.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
That's so good. So I gotta ask you. I have season tickets. Austin has season tickets. I'm section 327 on the Titans side, closer to the river and all that. Austin is on the lower bowl on the opposite side of the field. I'm pretty sure, like in 119 or
Big
one.
Baller. Oh man.
Where do you sit when you go to games?
I'm in section 319, which is in the corner. It's in the cheap seats. It's the cheapest ones, man. I'm up in the corner on a visitor sideline, but that's the rowdiest people over there in that corner.
Yeah, we got. It's always kind of a joke in our section because we're 327, which is basically for the people that don't know Nissan Stadium, it's the Titans side in the corner away from where the players went out of the locker room. And there's only one section to the right of us, and that's section 326. And it always seems like it's the visitors. It's like the Titans side 326 is going to be all visitors, and it's the worst. And especially when Pittsburgh comes to town. Holy cow! Since there's so many fans, and they're so rowdy. Like I'm not saying that Pittsburgh people are bad. I'm just saying that there's so many fans over there. Whenever Pittsburgh
are annoying,
super loud, and stuff like that. But so there we go. So Trey and Noah, we're glad to have y'all here. Let's dive into things like this. Of course, what everybody's been talking about for 2 years, the day is about to be finally here for the jerseys. And the Titans have done so well about keeping them quiet. And then all of a sudden, 2-3 days before it happens, boom, there's a possible leaked jersey. And it's been up and down. People don't know what they think about it. It's a different font and a little bit different blue, maybe, and the numbers that are different and stuff like that. I don't know how I feel about it yet, just because I really like the really light blue that the Titans have, and I didn't really see that as much on this jersey. Now, granted, it could just be a fake jersey, a leaked jersey, but give me y'all's reactions. What do y'all think of the pictures that we saw so far?
Man, I'm kind of like you. I like the baby blues that they had, but I want to see it with pants and a helmet first before I make a decision because, that makes the uniform. Because the jersey can be – I think we all were kind of like not super thrilled with the number and the font on the number. It's definitely a different look to it, but, it could work with the helmet, and they may tweak the logo or something like that to make it work better. But I definitely want to see it. And then I do think the jersey was legit just because the things around it look legit. And I think whoever did it probably should be ashamed of themselves. Like, they kept this a secret for so long, especially if you're a Titans fan. Like, I get the excitement, but, man, you got to keep it to yourself, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I've sort of, been a big supporter of the uniforms, whatever they are. As long as we're winning on Sundays, I really don't care what we wear. But for some reason, I've been so invested into the, this set of uniforms because it's been so hyped up by the team, the fans, whatever. So when I seen the leaked picture, I was, I mean, like the Titans fan of me, I was excited, hey, I could see new uniforms early. But as I saw, I saw the gray, and then I like the light blue personally, but I saw the gray and how it was mixed in with the light blue on the side. Just made it like you just throwing colors on there and patterns and stuff. It just, I don't know. It didn't seem, right to me. So
there's only, and like we said, it's just a leaked photo, so it might not even be the real jersey.
Oh yeah, of course.
There's only a couple of people that know what it looks like. So obviously Amy Adams-Strunk and John Robinson and Brave will know. They all know what it looks like. Apparently, to the teaser video that the Titans put out, Taylor Lewan knows what it looks like, and I know that Kevin Byard looks like it's all the players that are going to be there downtown for the jersey reveal have seen the jerseys, but they had to sign a non-disclaimer from the team to say that they wouldn't release any information about what the jersey looked like. Mm-hmm. So, although that jersey came out, we still need to know if it's real or not. But something that was interesting to me is the fact that the NFL came out today and said that they're going to launch an investigation about a possible leakage of the uniform and who did it. And I don't know about y'all, but that to me, that makes it seem like this jersey would most likely be real, because why else would the NFL launch an investigation?
Yeah, I mean, you could tell, and the fact that they didn't come out with anything, the Titans haven't said anything about it. Silence speaks louder than words sometimes. Right. They would have come out real quick and said, yeah, no, that's fake. Now, personally, I wouldn't be upset if it was fake, because I think they could do a better job with the jersey. But if they didn't and that's real, then it makes sense that they'd be opening an investigation and the Titans would be quiet about it.
Yeah, same with that. I agree with you. Also, I mean, let's just be real. Let's be fantasized for a second. I mean, it would be kind of cool if Amy Adams-Strunk and the whole, organization was behind this whole leakage of fake jerseys and just made it all, whole big sham just to get Titans Twitter and Titans fans up in a frenzy. But, with the NFL, come out saying they're going to investigate, the leak of the possible jersey, that does, make some sense that maybe it might be real. So just got to wait and see for tomorrow night.
And with the jersey release or jersey leaks, whatever people want to call it, I saw a lot of reactions on Twitter about people that weren't too happy about the way that it looked like. And a lot of people said if this is what the jersey actually looks like, then this is another miss that for Nike since taking over the NFL jerseys as a whole. And Nike's kind of struggled with uniforms in the past with jersey rippings and colors and stuff like that. So if this is what the jerseys actually look like, do y'all think that this is another miss by Nike since taking over the NFL uniforms?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Nike's too concerned with being unique and not just doing something that looks good. Like the little point on the end of the number, to me, is the thing that sticks out the greatest. I could deal with the color scheme and all that. There's no reason for that font to have a point on the end of the number. It doesn't make any sense. It's like they just said, oh, this looks unique. Let's put it on there. Sometimes less is more. It didn't need all that stuff. Just tweak the color scheme. If you're going to do small tweaks, just tweak the color scheme. Put the gray and the red on, but you don't need to do all these extra things. I think it's definitely a miss for Nike as a whole when they definitely could have done a better job. I don't think it's as bad as everyone's acting like it is, but they definitely could have done a better job.
Right.
Yeah, they definitely could have done a much better job. I mean, looking back to also, in comparison to that, looking back to when Nike unveiled the Browns uniforms. The Browns uniforms before that were simple. I mean, I don't know if you can call it rugged, but they were simple color scheme, design, everything was just simple, but it was a nice look. Not too bad, not too good. It was cool. When the Browns came out with the new uniforms, it was a lot of, splash and colors and designs. I seen the bright orange jersey they had where seeing the stripes come around from the shoulder all the way to the chest, and it seemed like a little bit, too much extra, to me. I like simple, tradition like color schemes and designs or whatever, you know what I mean? So, I mean, yes, I don't know if I would call it a miss because I would, judge it based off, fan gauge and fan interest. But if I was to lean one way, then yeah, I'd say it's sort of a miss. Yeah.
And me and Austin talk about it all the time now. Nashville is completely, it's just bumping right now. The Preds are playing well. There's soccer in town. The Sounds are about to start back up. The Titans are releasing these new jerseys. Nashville, and they're bidding for the draft. And Amy thinks that they have a good chance to get the draft in Nashville. Nashville has so many things going for it right now, and for the Titans to have this downtown and put out such a big promo for it and bring in Florida Georgia Line for a concert, I think that the promotion that they've done as a whole has been fantastic with the teaser videos that they put out and keeping fans on the edge, and then putting a video that they went to Nike and Nike put out a video about what the jerseys might look like as a whole and stuff like that. And also today too, the Titans said that the pro shop at Nissan Stadium will be open after the jerseys get revealed tomorrow. So as a whole, I don't know if the Titans could have done a much better job than they have with the promo of this whole thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. And by the way, the jersey could be the ugliest thing I've ever seen. I'm still buying one right after this concert tomorrow. But the thing is, they did all this hype. You better not mess up. The jersey better be good. You can't have all this build up and then have it be a disappointing jersey. And there was a lot of disappointment yesterday when that leak came out. And you don't want people to go, ooh, when they unveil that jersey tomorrow. And if people do that, then it's a failure.
If it's a 20-year anniversary of new colors and new jerseys, you really can't disappoint.
Yep.
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah. No doubt. Because the fans have been, clamoring. Maybe some have been clamoring for something new. I mean, and like you said, the team has done such a nice job, keeping this hidden and keeping fans on edge with teasers with players and, like you said, the Nike video and stuff. And, I mean, I sort of feel like it's a bummer, for Amy Adams because she's, this is her thing. The whole uniform thing. She's wanted this to be such a good event, because when was the last time the Titans, had like a Nashville type, Broadway type party for fans or whatever, to engage with fans and stuff like that. So I mean, I don't know. It's
well, you could flash back to the Stanley Cup final last year when you had 100,000 people on Broadway. Right. The Titans are going to try to replicate something like that. They got Florida Georgia Line coming. They want a bunch of people down there. You better send them home happy.
Exactly. I think that's the underrated part about this is, Nashville is a football and hockey town. I don't think there's any dispute to that because of how popular the Preds have gotten, and the fact that when the Titans first got to Nashville, it was huge because they were good. They made the Super Bowl run. You had Kevin Dyson and Blaine Bishop and Javon Curse and all those fantastic guys. And you kind of look at that. That's what the Preds have now with Philip Forsberg and Pekka Rinne and Victor Arvidsson and all those guys. The Titans are still relevant in the town, but when was the last time you saw somebody running around downtown praising the town? I mean, obviously they do, but it's more of a hockey town right now than it is a football town.
Yeah. You go to a restaurant now, if you go to a restaurant now, they're not talking about the Titans. They're talking about the Preds.
Exactly. And I think it was Tom Willis, who's a writer for the Preds, said the other day, it might not be Tom, it was somebody involved with the Preds, said he was at a Cracker Barrel and he just heard some random family in the corner talking about Ellie Tolvanen coming over from Russia. And Ellie's this young kid. I mean, of course, all Preds fans know him. But you don't expect to hear that just on a random conversation in a random Cracker Barrel outside of Nashville. But
yeah, of course.
I think the Titans are really trying to get back to being one of the main talks of the town. And I think that's something that's been underrated about this is the job that Amy Adams Strunk has done as a whole about, one, keeping this quiet, which I don't know how she's been able to do that. That's been fantastic. And two, just being interactive with the fans, I think it really shows how much she cares. She's been listening to she went to Kansas City for the playoff game and was there in the tailgate and interacted with the fans. And she's just listened to the fans as a whole. And I think that the job she's done with this jersey release has been underrated, honestly.
The greatest evidence that she cares is the fact that she fired Mike Mularkey.
Yes.
I mean, they won a playoff game. She could have easily given him an extension, a 3 years extension, and said, hey, he's taking us to new heights. She fired him because the fans didn't like the style of football he was putting out. And so she clearly
fired him in the first place.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, definitely, of course. And people forget, before she took over, the control that she had now, Titans sucked. The franchise was in such a really bad place. I mean, I think it was around 5 to 6 wins between 2014 and 2015.
5-27.
The franchise was in a bad, bad state. And I think that's when the Preds started to, take over, the talk of the town, because that's when they started to have, a little bit more success. But the Titans were in a run. She's done such a good job with the hiring the J-Rob and, yeah, like you said, the interaction with fans outside of the, stadium and outside of the games and stuff. She's done an amazing job. So, yeah, most def. She's done an amazing job ever since she's been taking over as owner.
Ever since she took over as the full-time controlling owner and got rid of Wisenhunt and got rid of Rustin Webster, things have turned to be so much better. So much better. And fans honestly didn't know what was going to happen because for a while she stayed behind closed doors and just sent out Steve Underwood, the president, to go talk about everything. But since then, since the hiring of J-Rob, and I feel like the Titans fans kind of like the swagger that the Titans are bringing. They're feeling good. Kevin Byard and Logan Ryan, and then you go out and make the big splash signing with Malcolm Butler. It makes the fans feel like, okay, the team is actually listening to us. They know we want good players. They know we want to win. And when you sign a big deal to a big player like Malcolm Butler, it shows the fans like, okay, these people care and they want to win just as much as we do.
Absolutely. And and that's why I want to give everybody should relax on hating on Mike Vrabel a little bit. He's a first-time coach. John Robinson's a first-time general manager, and he's widely regarded as the savior of the franchise. In reality, that's probably Amy Adams Strunk who's the savior of the franchise. Right. But everybody should give her hire a chance to do what he needs to do. And I think she's done a phenomenal job. 5-27 in 2 years is a joke, and now they're way better now. Clearly. I mean, we just went to the playoffs and won a playoff game. Exactly. So everyone needs to trust and relax, which is why I didn't get all freaked out about the uniforms either, because you got to trust them at some point that they're going to do what's best for the franchise.
Most definitely, of course. My bad. I just had a lost train of thought. That's my bad. But yeah, most definitely, of course.
Yeah.
That stretch, that 5-27 stretch, there was a time when players just were okay with losing. They didn't really care, They just, hey, I can go out there, play, get a check, and go home. It wasn't no sense of urgency around the building, around the franchise, around the team. Players just nonchalantly just didn't care. And so, like you said, her bringing in J-Rob and, him with this Patriots-like background and coming in and changing the culture of the team, it's been really an amazing feat by her.
That's another thing that I think has been huge because when J-Rob came in and Rustin Webster was out and everything like that, the Titans busted up the locker room and completely made it different because apparently before there were walls in the locker room in between the guys' lockers. They couldn't talk about the Holocaust. But now if you see pictures of it, it's a big open locker room where you can talk from one side of it to the other and still be interactive with the players. And I think that the team and family feeling oriented is what's bringing guys like Malcolm Butler and Dion Lewis to the organization. And I say that as the Titans signed 2 more guards, Kevin Fanfleal and Xavier, what do we say, Suafilo?
Yeah, Suafilo.
Right. Suafilo. That's a hard last name.
His name has been mispronounced his entire life. There's no doubt about it.
So bringing those 2 guys into the organization, the Titans re-signed Josh Klein to the long deal, re-signed Quentin Spain to the 1-year tender. That's 4 more guards they have right there. So obviously re-signing Klein to the long deal, Klein's here to stay. But bringing Fanfleal and Suafilo on there, do you think that this means that they're coming in there to compete for the starting job with Quentin Spain?
Dear God, I hope so. Oh, man, I hope so. Quentin Spain, I get it, but when I watch him on tape, he looks like the slowest offensive lineman on the team. And in this league, you got to be ferocious and quick off the ball, and he's neither of those 2 things. I mean, he seems like a nice guy, and maybe if he's playing half the snaps he normally plays, he can be faster off the ball. Maybe he's just getting tired, but he sticks out as the weakling on the offensive line. Every time Mariota was getting hurried last year, I'd go back and watch it. Quentin Spain was getting blown off the ball. And then other guards, Taylor Lewan would have to come over and try to help him out and then end up giving up his man going right at Mariota. So I hope they're coming to compete with him because at least he needs to have some competition in training camp.
Oh, yeah, of course. And I think if I'm not mistaken, last training camp, there was competition for both guard spots with Spain and Klein.
In the Lido, yeah.
Yeah, and Klein came in, busted his tail, and got the deal. And he's the better fit of the 2 guards, for the zone blocking team now. Spain, he put out a tweet, I believe, it was a couple days ago. He was saying how he played in a spread offense at West Virginia, and that how he's saying the misconception of him not being able to play in a spread offense or whatever. It's not true. But yeah, like you said, no, when you see him play, he's sort of like he's the type of blocker that Malarkey scheme needed.
Yes.
Big old powerful guy, not that fast, but he'll be able to push some guys around, get up to second level, and create holes. This blocking scheme, you got to move. You got to move, block. The zone you're supposed to block. He can't do it. He's way too slow laterally. He's way too big. He just can't. I don't know.
He reminds me, I don't know if you guys play Madden, but whenever you run a hurry-up offense and then there's the one lineman who comes down 5 minutes later, that's Quinton Spain in real life. All right, he's the guy just running, trying to catch up to everybody, sucking, winning a hurry-up offense. And I hope we run a little more hurry-up offense this season, which isn't going to fit Quinton Spain very well.
That's perfect for Mariota. And
yes.
Which is exactly why I think every single Titans fan is so – so Austin and I used to do a thing we call it the clap of the week or the clap of the day, where we would always say something about something that we thought had to go with the Titans. We just give it a small little clap. Look, we haven't done that in a while, but my clap of the week or clap of the year is the fact that Terry Robisky is no longer the offensive.
Oh, thank you, Jesus. Yes.
Clap. Yes.
Right now.
Clap.
Oh, we can all agree on that one. So he is gone, and then you bring in LaFleur from the Rams offense, who was awesome last year, that fits Mariota. It just seems like it can be so much better now, and that goes back to what y'all are saying about Quinton Spain. Today on the radio, I was listening to 3HL on 104.5 in Nashville.
Love that show.
It's awesome. And Jim Wyatt was saying that Quinton Spain is a bigger guy, just like you were saying, Trey. He's a little bit slower, and he was able to bully guys off the line just because he was bigger and tougher, even though he was a little bit slower, and that fit in with Malarkey's offense exactly as y'all said. But this is no more longer Malarkey's offense. It's no more longer Terry Robisky's offense. This is a new team, new scheme, and one that Quinton Spain might not fit in with as well, which is why I think they might have only offered him a 1-year deal.
Yeah, I hope so. Oh, they could have just added him for depth and said, okay, let's see what he can do in training camp, because he's talking off this big talk, like Trey said on Twitter. But, until then, I don't believe in him at all. I was real happy when they signed the guards. I'm no Quinton Spain fan. He's the number one player. I said we needed to draft a guard in the first round. I don't think that anymore. No. But because now at least we have some competition for him. He's got to prove himself. And if he proves himself, great. I'd love to be wrong about him. But I hope my hope for this offense is that he doesn't fit into it. Because if he doesn't fit into it, that means we're playing a running gun and we're flying down the field.
Yeah, most definitely, of course. And I believe, what was Xavier Su'a-Filo? Did I say that right?
Yeah, who knows?
Okay. Yeah, whatever, man. But the thing about him coming out of the draft, one of the big names is that he's a real good athlete for his size, and that because of his smaller frame, he was, slated to play more guard instead of tackle. So I believe that's, one of the reasons J-Rob, hit him up and signed him, because of his mobility at the guard spot. But seeing what Texans fans and seeing his PFF grades, he wasn't too good. But, yes, I like the competition. And seeing with the, whole scheme change and whatever, I like what Noah said, having Miss Dev, I would love to see us be proved wrong or whatever about his whole misconception or his whole thing about not being playing spread offenses. But, once again, I just don't think he can do it, man. He's like a walking bowling ball or whatever. He just can't do it.
Yeah,
man.
But real quick about Xavier. Back when Taylor Lewan was blocking for Zach Mettenberger, his grades weren't great either.
Oh, my gosh.
Blocking in front of Tom Savage, you're going to give up sacks because you can block somebody for 10 seconds, and if he still gets to the quarterback because the quarterback can't move anywhere. So at least maybe he has a chance now with a quarterback who has some mobility and can get away from it. He can get out of the pocket, step up in the pocket better. A competent quarterback, we can see what he can do.
It's true also. I would love to see his PFF grades when Deshaun Watson took over.
Yeah, and like you said, Su'a-Filo, the Texans fans weren't maybe as big as on him and stuff like that, but I honestly believe that J-Rob finds the best in whatever people have, and that's why I've always been a huge fan and why I still think he's underrated. I've been such a big fan of Rashard Matthews ever since the Titans signed him because I saw him some in Miami when he was still there, and then he left, and the Titans signed him. And his first year when he was the leading like receiver and the touchdowns and just the moves that he can make from the slot position, I still think he's underrated, honestly, because I think Rashard is a good guy, and he's a perfect two guy for the Titans in the slot position, honestly.
Yeah, now, and especially if Corey Davis can take the next step with a full offseason, he could take over that number one role on the outside and take the ball deep. I think Rashard Matthews on those 10 to 15-yard routes can be lethal for the Titans. You know, what we hoped Eric Decker would be? What we hoped Eric Decker would be, that third down, just catch the ball and get the first down. That could be Rashard Matthews, and then he could be even better than that.
And honestly, I trust Rashard not to drop it like Eric did in the Jacksonville game, last game of the season, like 30 times.
Every game. Eric Decker dropped
it. Was every game. It was every game, man. But yeah, most definitely. People tend to forget that it was that last season before he became a free agent. He was having a really good season. He was having a really good year. He ended up with like 600 yards receiving, only playing like, I believe, like 10 to 12 games, something like that. And his season got ended because of, a bad rib injury. But yeah, ever since he came in here, he's been the type guy that J-Rob wants. Consistent, reliable, strong hands, run routes well. It's been great. So hopefully, I was a little bit concerned, when we got all these receivers, that maybe his role would be diminished or whatever. It's foolish to think that, because outside of, Corey Davis or whatever, he still can put up, the most catches in production every single game, week in and week out. So, but I think it's going to be a consistent and permanent staple for the offense this year.
And he's going to play. I hope he's going to play a different role than Corey does. You really want Corey to take the next step as being that number one guy, the Julio Jones type, can just jump up and catch a jump ball. Whereas Rashard Matthews he's going to run the right route and get to the ball that way. Yeah. The timing routes with Marcus.
The only ball that I've ever seen Rashard drop was the one when he was wide open on the 5 in the Cincinnati game last year. And he just straight up dropped it. That's the only ball I've ever seen him drop, honestly. And shoot, Decker's best catch of the season was the one we needed to beat Kansas City.
Yeah, that's true.
But I do trust Rashard a lot more than I trust Decker, and most Decker probably won't be back.
Thank God.
So, most likely.
Speaking of receivers and our receiving core, not Jordan Matthews. Well, yes, Jordan Matthews just reported, or Adam Schefter just reported that Jordan Matthews is going to visit the Titans. I don't know the date of when he's going to visit yet. He has visited with some other teams, but this seems to be a lot of a guy that Titans fans are really high on. Maybe that's because he was a standout at Vanderbilt, and honestly, and he's from Madison, Alabama, from where I'm from. So a lot of people down there in North Alabama know where he's at and know the type of player that he can be. He struggled with his hands a little bit when he came into the league, when he was in Philly, and then he got hurt when he was in Buffalo and things like that. But he's still, I think, a reliable receiver that you can probably trust on for most of the season.
See, I'm having a little bit of deja vu to Eric Decker. Last year, we're having the same conversation about Decker last season about this time when we signed him. You're like, well, maybe he'll be the reliable guy. But I think Jordan Matthews actually could be that guy because he's way younger than Eric Decker and less distractions off the field, things like that. He can just focus on football. I think he fits. Why not? Why not add weapons? As many weapons as you can have, add the weapons as far as I'm concerned. If you have Corey Davis, Rashard Matthews, and Jordan Matthews, and then you add in Taywan Taylor, who hopefully takes another step, that'd be great. I mean, so why not sign him? If you can sign him, you should absolutely sign him.
Oh, most definitely. I remember him playing here in Vandy. He was just absolute stud, the number one guy, just going up and getting balls and just putting on a show out here. And when he came into the league, like you said, he had some injury problems, had some hands problems. But, yeah, like you said, he could still be the reliable guy only because he's not daggum near 30 years old and can't run like Decker can. Decker probably runs like a 4.7 now and had stone brick hands. Jordan Matthews only 25, still fast, still has strong hands, and maybe has a little bit of chip on the shoulder after having, last 2 to 3 years, unfortunate, events that have happened, had some bumps and roads in his career. But like you said, if you have weapons that you can just go out and keep on at them, you can never have too much weapons for Marcus, man.
You look at the Titans receiving core over the years. In the early years, it was Yancey Thigpen, who a lot of Titans fans nowadays might not even know who he is. You got Yancey Thigpen, Kevin Dyson, Derek Mason, Drew Bennett, and then you go for a couple. But that was a solid receiving core, but it wasn't one that people were ever scared of. It wasn't anything that had a deep ball threat down the field. Dice is most known, obviously, for the Music City Miracle.
Of course.
But Mason was probably more of the true number one receiver for that team. Then you go a couple years where you don't really have a receiver, and then Drew Bennett comes in, and you got Drew Bennett for a couple years, who Titans fans really liked. Yeah. And then you go another couple years without anybody, and then you bring in Nate Washington, who is solid, still considers himself a Titan after he retires, which I think a lot of fans like. And then you go another couple years with nobody else still. You know, the Titans tried Trey McBride at slot and kick return. That didn't work out. But if you really go back to when the Titans first moved to Nashville from Houston, there's never really been a receiver or a receiving core where you look at it and you're like, yeah, that's the one. That's who the Titans have. And honestly, this five set with Corey Davis, Rashard Matthews, possibly Jordan Matthews, Taywan Taylor, Tajay Sharp might just be the best five the Titans have had since they've come to Nashville.
It's competitive. I think the 1999-2000 team that you were talking about early with Thigpen and Mason, and then Drew Bennett came at the tail end. I think they were underrated, and I think similarly this Titans five will be underrated because they're the Titans, and at this point, any Titan's going to be underrated. Especially if Corey Davis can become the true number one wide receiver. If that happens, then I think we got a good chance at it.
Yeah, I agree. And you look at the tight ends that the Titans have, and the Titans have always had a good tight end to go along with whoever it is of their good receivers. You know, because before they had Aaron Kinney way back in the day, and then they had Bo Scaife in the mid-2000s who connected well with Vince Young, and then you had Jared Cook, and now, of course, we got Delanie Walker, who I think now is probably the best tight end in Titans history.
Oh, no, sir. Frank Wycheck. Come on.
I mean, he's creeping up on him in yardage, you know.
I think Delanie might have passed Frank.
I think, well, the thing that would put Frank over the top is that he's a far better blocker than Delanie is, in my opinion.
That's true also.
But you go along with that. It seems like that whenever the Titans have a good tight end, you put it with a good outside core, it just makes the offense move a lot more smooth.
Yeah.
No, most definitely. Especially when, you know, thinking to a couple years back, Marcus in his rookie year, people were screaming that Dorial Green Beckham was, you know, the next connection to Tennessee. Mario to Beckham, you know, Dorial Green Beckham or whatever. And he flamed out, you know, badly. But yeah, when you compare it and, you know, with all the weapons back then, I think you can, like Noah said, it can be competitive for the best wide receiver core ever, especially when you add in that Corey Davis has limitless potential to be like a bona fide number one wide receiver that this team hasn't had since
ever.
Ever.
Yeah.
I mean, the closest you could say is Derek Mason, but he wasn't a number one, you know, wide receiver. He was just the most consistent. But especially when you have Corey Davis and you add in a consistent guy in Rashard Matthews, you have Taywan Taylor, who's speed guy, who's probably didn't have the best rookie year, but he's probably in a new offense that, gosh, I hope uses him well because he has such talent. Then you add him Tajay Sharp, who people forget, Mario the second year? He was the number 2 wide receiver on the team behind Rashard Matthews and still put up numbers. So when you look at it, I think, yes, it has the potential to be the best wide receiver / weapons core this franchise has ever had, but everything needs to fall into place.
So you go back to talking about how the Titans have never had, or they've had the true number one receiver. Obviously that this guy is not the best receiver to ever play. The best receiver to ever play for the Titans is, of course, Randy Moss.
Oh, well, that's true also.
But Randy is not the greatest Titans receiver of all time.
No. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But, okay, so we hit on it. We've talked about kind of the free agency, who the Titans assigned. Noah, earlier you brought up the topic of the draft. Maybe the Titans might draft a guard. Now that they've signed their guards, I don't think they'll go after a guard. I never really thought they would. Since the playoffs is over, I've been wanting to go defense the whole time, honestly, whether it be edge rush or linebacker, and especially now that Klug is gone, Sylvester Williams is gone, even though he never really did much, but Klug was a good asset. Avery Williamson is gone, which I was a fan of Avery most of the time, but his pass coverage was never good, so that always bothered me. So now you look at the Titans linebacking core. You got Jayon Brown, who's coming in, still a young guy, but then you got Demo Derek Morgan, who's over 30, Brian Arakpo, over 30, and Wesley Woodyard. They're all over 30, but they're still producing very well. But they're all getting older. So I think the Titans either have to look at that outside linebacker because Dodd isn't really panning out at all, or you have to look at an edge rusher because Jarrell Casey can't do it all by himself.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think outside linebacker / somebody who can convert. Dean Pease defense. They talk about how they're going to shift the way they play. So I think somebody who can play. We could put him on the edge of the defensive line, or he can back up into coverage and cover a tight end off the block. I think that type of player can fit into the defense really well. And Wesley Woodyard. I mean, Avery Williamson, I think, likes to think that he can do that, but he really struggled in coverage. And so I think somebody who can cover but can also really get after the quarterback is who they should be targeting at number 25.
Yeah, of course. And when you look behind, Kevin Dodd, there's Aaron Wallace, who showed some potential in the preseason, but, had those back injuries and was on IR most of the season. Then there's Josh Caraway, who, when you look at him, he has the look of, a 3-4 outside linebacker / speed rusher, but he still can't find a way to get even special team snaps or daggum near be active on game days. So when you take into consideration, along with the loss of Avery Williamson, yeah, you need an inside linebacker, but I think you could be comfortable drafting a Avery Williamson replacement in the later rounds and getting that outside linebacker that you need once Derek Morgan and Brian Rakpo, retire. Because outside of Rakpo is probably – he's still an above-average speed rusher. Morgan isn't, a speed guy. He's more of a power, get your hands up in a type, edge rusher or whatever. So if you can get your hands on a guy, let's say Harold Landry, guys, I hope he drops 25 whatever.
Yeah.
Harold Landry or Marcus Davenport, who has so much strength but super raw, or Arden Key or daggum near Rashaan Evans, who most might be viewed as, a middle linebacker replacement, but he had around 6-7 sacks lining up, around the egg. So whatever J-Rock feels comfortable, picking, I'm behind it, but if I was, gentlemen, I would go outside linebacker at 25.
And we can't forget that yesterday, we signed a linebacker, Will Compton, who I think is going to be a real underrated signing. He got 100 tackles last season in Washington, and he's just underrated, but the dude's a baller. And I've seen a little bit of him play, and the guy can definitely play. And that's, talk about an Avery Williamson replacement, where you don't necessarily have to go there at 25. I think he can definitely take snaps at that position.
I agree. And for Avery's potential, or maybe Avery might have already hit his potential, to be honest with you guys. And Avery wanted more money than I think the Titans are definitely willing to deserve to pay him and stuff like that. And honestly, I'm comfortable enough to let Avery walk and take the money that he thinks he deserves. And because we can find a replacement for that. And like you said, Avery thought that he could have been that rusher and things like that. But Avery got way outplayed by Wesley Woodyard last year. And this was supposed to be Avery's linebacking core, because Avery's the young guy, supposed to be the veteran who's going to take over after Rack and all them retire. But Avery got outplayed by a lot of linebackers on the roster last year.
Yeah, he definitely did.
Sure did. And what was really, lost in the shuffle was that he was commanding a lot of money for a 2-down inside linebacker, when in this day of age for the game, just won't cut it anymore. $22 million for a 2-down inside linebacker is just way too much money, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because, how the ways the game has gone so pass happy, you need, say, 3-4 corners and at least 2 linebackers who can at least step in, give you some good snaps and coverage. So him demanding all that money and, saying it was sort of a low ball offer, I think that's the right offer for a 2-down inside linebacker in the league these days, because you just don't find those, succeeding in the league with this day and age anymore.
Yeah, and especially, he wanted all that money, and it seemed like last year the Titans really struggled to guard running backs out of the backfield.
Yes.
Catching the ball. And every time you would turn back and watch, you go, whose man was that? Oh, it's Avery Williamson's man.
Oh, 54.
Yes, exactly.
And here comes Avery chasing, and he get these tackles, and it's like, yeah, he has a lot of tackles because he blew the coverage. He had to come chase him down across the field.
Exactly.
If he were watching out of the backfield, he could have had some interceptions.
And especially when it's zone or man, either one, especially when teams get in the red zone, or honestly the whole year, and all over the field, teams ate up in the middle of the field every single time, whether it be a tight end or even a screen that would cut back inside, tight end cutting across the middle, or like you said, the running back coming across the middle. And a lot of times teams would target the middle of the end zone I don't know if you go back and watch film, teams will target the middle of the end zone against the Titans because they realize these guys can't cover the middle of the football field.
They can't. Well, and Kevin Byard can't cover the entire field.
Exactly.
He's the only guy doing any sort of coverage in zone defense, and and Wesley and Avery Williamson would rack up these tackles, and it's like, yeah, you blew your coverage. You're not tracking people out of the backfield, and then you want $22 million. I don't think so. And John Robinson clearly thought the same thing.
I agree.
Exactly, with the way, how Wesley Woodyard, who's, say, around 31, 32 years old, who shouldn't even be the 3-down inside linebacker, came in and took the spot over Avery Williamson, who's much younger and much more agile. So that tells you a lot, about his skill set and how ridiculous and ludicrous it was for him to command that type of money. I mean, sure, go get paid. You play the game you loved, come into this league and get paid, secure your family, do whatever you want to do. But to ask for that type of money from the team and we clearly saw how bad you were in coverage, I mean, it's just ridiculous still to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now we go back to players in the draft. I know, Trey, you wrote your article about Arden Key. I had written one on Rashaan Evans about who we liked and stuff like that. Austin likes a bunch of corners in this draft. I still think the Titans need to go rush or edge or linebacker, whatever it may be. I think it's got to be right there in the middle of the field. That's why I like Rashaan Evans a lot. Roquan Smith won't be there. No question about that at 25. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised to see if the Titans traded up to try and get Harold Landry, and I think that's what they might do. So that's my thing right now is I think the Titans trade up and try and get Harold, and that's what I'm going with right now. But who is the guy that you want to see the Titans take, whether they trade up or they stay at 25? Who do you want the Titans to take?
Yeah, you said exactly. It's what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to trade up to about, in between 15 to 19 to go get Harold Landry. I think he fits in perfectly with the team. And you put him on, he's a day one starter. You can play him, and he can do what we talked about. He can get to the quarterback, and he can drop back in coverage if you need him to. But I think he'll be a perfect fit in Tennessee. And I think that you're going to have to trade up because he'll be gone. I think he's going to go in that 15 to 20 range. So if you could trade up into there and just, you give up your 25th and then you give up a later pick in the draft and you get the guy that you want. But if you think that he's going to fit perfectly, like a lot of people do, I think you got to go get him.
Almost definitely. But the thing about, the speculation that then trading up is Titans only have six picks in this draft.
Yep.
And, we've grown to see how J-Rob loves draft capital and how he's real hesitant to give it up. I mean, he really gave up. I mean, he hasn't really gave up a lot of picks in any deals of these last couple of years anyway. So it would really surprise me if he, tried to trade up around the 15 to 20. I would love if he did, to draft Harold Landry, like, Noah gave the, best explanation of how he could fit on this team. But it would really surprise me. Now, the picks, at 25, you can go like you said, Brett, you can go edge, rush, inside linebacker. Heck, you can even go like wild card, like, I don't know, guard or whatever. Just throwing something out. Not trying to get anybody mad or anything, but just throwing out suggestions. But, yeah, you can look at a guy like Josh Sweat out of, Florida State, athletic guy, perfect, fit for an edge guy. Or like you said, Rashaan Evans, who can be that Avery Williamson replacement and still, rush on the edge and get him maybe about 3-4 sacks. But there's another guy who I would really, take a look into, Lorenzo Carter out of Georgia. There has been, a lot of people, mocking him to the Titans, or there's been a lot of people mocking him to the end of the second round. But I think he's a real good talent, and I think he will be, at least an option for the Titans. But mainly anybody who the Titans pick at 25 or wherever they pick, it's a wild card. It's up in the air for now.
Yeah, and talking in general about positions, I think I'm not sure how popular it is, but I think a strong safety, Jonathan Cyprien, disappointed me greatly last season.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I started watching, and when he came in there, like, okay, he's a run stuffer. I'm like, or he gets a lot of tackles, and I started watching him. Section 319, as I talked about, I would watch him on every play. I'd be like, what is he doing? This guy is constantly out of position. Kevin Byard got so many interceptions because he's scanning all the entire field sideline to sideline. Jonathan Cyprian's running around like a lost puppy out there. You know, and if it wasn't Avery Williamson blowing somebody out, a running back out of the backfield, it was Jonathan Cyprian 100% of the time. And he gets all these run stuff tackles because he's chasing runners down because he rushes up every play. I've never seen a man bite on more play actions in my life than Jonathan Cyprian did last season. And, you know, and I get the appeal. You know, he's a big guy. He's a hard hitter, which can fit in. But I would not be surprised if we took a strong safety at some point in the draft. And I think we need to.
I agree with that, especially, too, that the Titans let Searcy go and let him leave, let him walk. I especially think because then that only really leaves 2 true safeties that the Titans have on the roster. Behind Byard and behind Sip are just a bunch of more special teams players, like Krawick and stuff like that. So guys like that, those are not your guys that you want playing your 2 true safety positions.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Also, like you said about him missing so many tackles, his reputation as a run stuffer. There will be so many times when I'm, you know, watching a Titans game and he comes up and he misses, just whiffs on a tackle. Like, it just completely blows his reputation of being a run stuffer out the water. But like Noah said, like, I forgot it was either you or Noah, but behind, you know, Sip and Byard, there's no like depth as much as you want. Like you said, there's special teams guys. I think it was Trawick, who's not really a guy who should be even getting snaps at safety. Special teams guy. That's what the Titans signed up for. So, yeah, I think we'll end up taking a safety, strong safety, later down the draft to bulk up that depth, or maybe, who knows, unseat Sip for a starting job.
Yeah, and you know, time changes things, but I remember very clearly week 15, 16 screaming at the top of my lungs, take a free safety in the draft, first round, or take a strong safety in the draft, first round. I don't care where we're picking, take a strong safety. So in the moment, I know I wanted him, and it's been a while since I've seen the Titans play football, so I'm just remembering back to that, and maybe they do need to take a strong safety early, which I think a lot of national pundits would be surprised by, but us here, we wouldn't be surprised by that, I don't think at all.
Yeah.
So we'll end with this. We'll go right back to the jersey talk that we had at the beginning of the show. We all gave our thoughts on it, but if we thought it was, or what it looked like, what it might look like, how downtown's going to be buzzing when the jerseys are finally being released. Trey, we'll start with you. Yes or no, is the jersey leak real?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes,
Yeah?
it's real. I mean, I've seen a lot of fans on Twitter talking about how it's photoshopped and everything, but come on, that just definitely looks real. I mean, I think there was another photo. It was another Twitter account who had a grainy, you know, lit light, or I can't even say, but it was a poorly lit room or whatever. You just couldn't see it well. But the second bit that leaked, it looked clear as day. That, you know, looked like Titans jersey. So I believe it's real, but once Titans fans see all, you know, the other uniforms, color rush, you wear jersey, I think the home jersey won't even matter.
Noah?
Yeah, it's real. And the Photoshop thing, I mean, there were some pictures today of the same jersey with different colors on them. Those were Photoshop, but I mean, I know how to do Photoshop. That's not a Photoshop jersey. It's the most brilliant Photoshop I've ever seen in my life, and useless Photoshop. You know, the way it's real, and I don't love it, but it's real.
I'm right there with you. I think it's real too. At least the Navy one. Those other ones that have leaked, I don't think are real because I mean, I just don't think those are real, honestly. But the Navy one, the main one that's released, that's all over Twitter, yeah, I think it's real. So, I mean, shoot, guys, this was awesome. This was so much fun. Of course, we're going to do this for a long time. You know, follow us on Twitter, of course, at Armchair Tighten Up if y'all want to. Noah, what's your Twitter handle?
At Noah McKay 116.
Right?
Mine is at TJ, capital TNJ _ 092.
There we go. And I'm at Brett Batchelor, and Austin, who's usually on here, he is at Austin Nelson on Twitter. Follow us all on there. You got our articles, you got our podcast, our Music City Minutes. It's all on there. We're producing any and every Titans content for y'all at all times. So Trey, Noah, at the end of every episode, Austin and I always end with just a quick tighten up. So let me get one from y'all real quick.
Tighten up.
Tighten up, baby.
Here we go. Thank y'all for listening. We'll see y'all next time. Tighten up.